sports in boys, but not in girls.
In the boys, but not girls, we also saw that involvement in sports was associated with less depression. And importantly, it seemed to be that relationship between being involved in sports and depression, part of that relationship seems to go through the fact that sports was associated with increased hippocampal volume, and our hypothesis is that might be associated with better stress regulation, better able to deal with, negative events in one's life, which might be associated with less likelihood of developing depression.
And your study found the most profound results with kids playing structured sports. Now, what does that mean, and what intriguing possibilities does that raise?
We actually found it was related to both team sports and structured sports. And Lisa Gorham, who's the first author on the paper, who's a student athlete herself, she actually had a very interesting idea going into the study, the idea that team sports and structured sports not only provide the benefit of the exercise, but also the sort of camaraderie and social support that might be involved in being part of a team, having a regular time where you have to participate in sports, having a coach and so on, and that those may be additional benefits for kids over and above the sort of physiological benefits of engaging in exercise.
Now, just to clarify, your study does not conclude that playing sports causes less depression in boys, but merely that reduced depression shows up, shall we say, when they play sports. Is that right?
Right, exactly. So we don't know from these findings whether it's the case that engaging in sports actually creates a larger hippocampus and leads to less depression, or whether it's the case that kids who are less depressed to start out with are more able to engage in sports and, might have a larger hippocampal volume. So we don't know sort of the causal direction, although this particular project is one where we will follow kids over time, and that will give us more opportunity.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
No matter if the market is up or the market is down, Phil Grandy and his Phil's Gang members prepared for market volatility and making profits.
Cisco in April, we're up 4%. We just got in that in April. Lockheed Martin, we're up now 7%. Facebook, we bought April 9th, we're up 10%. Morgan Stanley, we're up 11%. WLL, we bought April 1st, we're up 19%. And let's take this year, the Spiders, the S&P 500, we are up 16%. Apple, we're up 26%. Railroad, CSX, we're up 17%. And at the end of the day, when the market keeps going up and up and up, and you're in that market, you're never out in time. You ride it all the way back down, especially with your 401ks. Let's change that today. 877-600-GANG, 877-600-GANG. Let's change it today.
Don't wait. Find out more at philsgang.com or call 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. 877-600-4264.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us if you want Viagra at the lowest prices. Never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-357-1583 today to save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 800-357-1583 to take your call now. Call 800-357-1583. That's 800-357-1583. Again, 800-357-1583.
California headline news. Federal authorities have arrested a 26-year-old Reseda man on domestic terrorism charges. FBI agent Ryan Young says Mark Stephen Domingo was plotting several attacks.
We believe he was conducting an attack to weaken the United States and retaliate against Americans for what he perceived to be violence incurred by U.S. actions around the world.
Domingo had plans to attack Jews, cops, and visitors to the Santa Monica Pier. Lori Gilbert Kay, who was killed in Saturday's synagogue attack in Poway, was remembered today during a funeral service.
A life devoted to embracing the last generation and building a better world for the next. What a stark contrast to the hate-filled murderer who took her life.
And finally, investigators are searching a Victorville landfill in an attempt to find 6-year-old Duke Flores, who was reported missing from Apple Valley last week. His mother and aunt have now both been charged with murder. Steve Clausen, California News.
If you own a pair of Skechers, this ad is not for you because you already know they're the most comfortable shoes on the planet. This ad is for those who have never tried Skechers, for the few who have never experienced the otherworldly comfort of Skechers air-cooled memory foam, ever floated across the ground on comfort pods, or experienced Skechers seamless knits. You're missing out. That's like never petting a puppy. So we've made this ad for you. Skechers. Live comfortably. Available at a Skechers store near you or wherever stylish shoes are sold.
Hiring? Aren't you tired of hoping the right candidates see your job posts? It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology finds and invites qualified candidates to apply. So instead of hoping you find that needle, ZipRecruiter finds it for you, and hiring is a whole lot easier.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter now for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/search. That's ZipRecruiter.com/search.
For several years, KCAA has been marketing the Youngevity brand of nutritional and personal care products. Our experience with Youngevity has been 100% positive, so we are pleased to recommend them to you. Regarding nutritional supplements, we recommend Pollen Burst in the berry flavor and Tangy Tangerine 2.0 in the tablet form. For regularity issues, we recommend 3-Day Cleanse, and for personal care, we recommend Morning Hydration Cream. You can shop online for Youngevity at www.kcaateam.com, or you can order by phone by calling 800-982-3197 and tell customer support that you are part of the KCAA team. Youngevity is an American company based in San Diego. Call Youngevity at 800-982-3197 and ask about monthly auto ship that allows you to buy Youngevity products at wholesale prices. That number again, 800-982-3197.
If you have a plan to motor west, travel my way, take the highway, that's the best. Get your kicks on Route 66. Heat winds from Chicago to LA. More than 2,000 miles all the way. Get your kicks on Route 66. Now you go through St. Louis, down Plain, Missouri, and Oklahoma City looks mighty pretty. See Amarillo, Gallup, New Mexico, Flex of Arizona, don't forget Winona, Kingman, Boston, San Bernardino on you.
What's up, team? This is Robert Porter with the I Love San Bernardino County radio show on KCAA NBC 106.5 FM, 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, where we will talk history, politics, and culture. And today we'll have the dog advocates Alice Chow Chow in the house. How you doing today? Now, technically there are Chow Chows, right?
Yes, there are.
And Chow is your fake last name or your alias?
It's my maiden name.
Your maiden name. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's your real name.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was born with it, so I love that last name.
Excuse me? I didn't know. I thought you had an alias online because I saw that you had a different last name. Okay. Well, that makes sense. All right. And I have a new nickname for you, by the way. Ooh, Alice Chow Chow.
I love that. That's what they used to call me. Perfect.
And we have Jenny. Now you're with
Daisy's Hope Foundation.
the Hope Foundation. Yeah, Daisies. Now, and that's super involved in helping animals locally in the area already.
And they're humans.
And they're human. Oh, and they're humans too. Okay, which is important.
Yes, absolutely.
And then, of course, we got Al Kelly and Scott Olson in the house. I'm sure they'll add some great information. And we got a new engineer in the house. Please introduce yourself, dude. I'm catching him off guard here.
Hey, everybody. My name is Frank. I'm the new guy here. Go easy on me.
You guys.
Hi, Frank.
Where are you from, dude? All right. Thank you very much, dude.
Mountain Boy.
All right, team. Well, today we're going to talk about the shelter a little bit, but before we get into that, I like to talk about my history, right? So we all have some incredible history here in the Inland Empire, and I actually got to go to do a few events here locally that were very historical. One of them happened to be the yucca harvest up at San Manuel on Saturday, and the harvesting of yucca is a very old process, and now I see why, because roasted, it tasted like sugar cane and coconut milk.
Nice.
Now, I know if you've eaten a coconut before, it's almost like you don't want to stop eating it. It's like it's mineral rich. It's got fat and things in it. Well, I kind of felt like when I was eating it, it was like, I don't know, almost like a buzz of water, like the best kind of water you could ever taste. And what I could describe it to is like when you get a coconut water or coconut milk water and you almost want to drink the whole thing in the first gulp, right? Yeah. That same feeling with that. And I could only imagine if you were in the desert or even in San Bernardino all day long traveling and you come down and you're weary and you roast up some of this, or it's already roasted for you and you brought it along in a backpack. You suck all the moisture and sugar out of the pulp. And then you kind of, no, it's not nasty, but you spit out the fibers.
Right.
You get some in your teeth, but wow, I could imagine it was probably the most incredible thing ever if you were dehydrated. So imagine when you're really hungry how good, or really thirsty how great water tastes. If you can't get water or clean water, a lot of times you have to get them from plants and animals, from like no joke, blood and things like that. You can get water from. And that's how they did it in the past. So it was kind of like bringing the past to the present and doing the yucca harvest. We also ate flowers. So they would take.
Oh, good.
So they take the yucca flower. So this is a yucca whipplei. It looks like almost like pineapple spines on the bottom, and then it has this flower shoot, Lord's candle that shoots up, and then it's white on top, right? And then it dies, right? But in the beginning shoot is when they eat that part. But if it makes it to the flowers, they take the flowers down, they parboil them 3 times to get the bitterness out, and they taste like cabbage or like artichoke.
Wow.
And I was impressed by Mr. Pink's ability to make this stuff. And then also Mr. Ramos and their team helped harvest it and make it too. But Mr. Pink also made a We Wish. Now, We Wish is the acorn mush, and it tasted like really earthy but bland, but not in a bland way like you wouldn't want to eat it. The earthiness was enough to make you want to eat more. So I can imagine on a weary time or you're traveling with that, it's almost like a gelatin breadish pudding. Good. Wow. I like weird that it was so bland, and I loved it anyways.
Robert, where did they get acorns? Because they're not out until summertime. Is this from last year's gruel?
I'm not sure, but Mr. Pink, I know he used to tell me they would go out and collect and keep some store.
Yeah.
So like they're in the mesquite beans and things like that. So maybe that, but he's really a master at this stuff. So maybe he makes a lot and then freezes it too. I don't know. I should have asked him. It was just interesting to me that I actually got to have it with Rowena Wamos right there for the first time. She just happened to be chilling in line, and she's one of the elders, and I'm like, I've never tried this. And she was looking at my face and wanted to see if I would make the bitter face, but there was no bitterness at all. It was really good. So that's what you have to do to acorns to make them palatable, is you have to remove the tannic acid from them. So that done by leaching water through the mush, and it takes out the tannic acid and the bitterness. So you keep putting water through the ground acorn, and you taste it, and if it's bitter, then you keep doing it until it doesn't taste bitter anymore, and you have like a flour that you can make things out of, cakes, breads, and then the wee wish, the pudding. So it was a incredible experience for Robert Porter. I was so excited. Thank you, Mr. Ramos, for inviting me up there, and Sam Manuel. That was super cool. All right, that little bit of history, I had to share that. I did go to the Fox Theater in Redlands, too. That was super cool if you want to see some history over there. And I do have this short Legend of the Arrowhead. I know I like to read my little legends, but here we go. We'll start over on this side because I'm going to start altering these legends a tiny bit to reflect historical accuracy to this day. But there are some things in this old article that I feel don't represent properly the Native Americans today. So if you ever wanted to read them how they originally were, this is from the Legends of the Arrowhead, that pamphlet that's passed out in the Historical Society. And what I wanted to do was make a bigger pamphlet. So that's what this book here, Legends of the Arrowhead, is it the first original pamphlet had 3 legends. This has 11 and some that they didn't have. And I wrote this with Nick Cataldo and Lynn Killian.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Cool to do local history, huh?
That's awesome, Robert.
All right, so here we go. In the days not long ago, the Indians dwelt across the mountains to the eastward. Now, although of a peace-loving disposition, they were continuously harassed by their warlike neighbors, who stole their ponies, devastated their fields, and burned their jackals. Thus, for many years, they lived unhappy in a constant fear until the last persecutions could no longer be endured. And at the command of their chief, the tribesmen gathered in council for the purpose of calling upon the God of peace to assist and direct them to another country, where they might acquire a quiet homeland. Impressive incantations and ceremonial songs of peace were performed under the direction of the chief medicine man. Now, being a gentle people, so the tale runs, they found special favor with the Great Spirit, by whom they were directed to the travel westward and instructed they would be guided to their new home by a fiery arrow, for which they must constantly be watching. Accordingly, the tribe started the journey. And one moonless night, when the camp sentries had been posted with unusual injunctions to be watchful, their appearance across the vault of heaven, a blazing arrow, which took a course westward, settling upon the mountain, where the shaft was consumed in flame, but the head embedded itself clear-cut inside the mountain. The camp was aroused, and while yet the morning star hung in the east, heralded the approach of day, they resumed their journey to the promised land under the shadow of the mountain where they are located, and lived in peaceful contentment until the coming of the white settler. So it's a shortened version of another legend that I have in this book too. It's longer and more detailed, but very interesting little lesson, kind of romantic in its own way, and it's really good history and really good stories that we should be teaching our kids in school, and we should be teaching our adults in our neighborhoods, in our city, in our towns, and in our county. So that's something I've taken upon myself. And of course, San Manuel is very a good custodian of our history, and of course the Arrowhead. They own 20% of the bottom of it now, so it will be protected forever. And the rest of it is under state historical resource. So the Arrowhead will be protected forever. And Arrowhead Peak right there is forestry land, right? Yeah. So above the Arrowhead, where I see the art and things, is protected forestry land. So very good news that will all be protected for a long time, and still give San Manuel the chance to expand on the lower hills and still get some of the building done that not everyone agrees with and some people don't like, but I look at it this way: if you've been pushed into the corner and you never were given a chance to build, then all of a sudden there's no more land, and someone comes up to say, "Hey, don't build there," but you already built on your land. Of course, yeah, that's okay, right? So, like, say for example, you went and built your Catholic church already, or whatever, or your Buddhist temple somewhere, right? You say you went and built that, right? like, didn't you destroy natural land to get that in the first place, right? Like, or did the building that was there before do it? Or what? Like the way I look at it, if it's your ritual and you're right and you want to build your temple, I think you should be able to do it. And I think there's enough room to do a proper conservancy to protect the surrounding areas and do proper building. So that I'm going for it, Al Kelly. I'm going to think in the middle ground and be positive.
Well, I am looking forward to seeing what they're going to do. I hope it's, I mean, I know they have their historical part they want to preserve, and that's their right, and I would, I have no problem with that one, but I hope at least a part of it they would open up for the public, because one of the unfortunates of Campus Crusade for Christ is when they were there, they did a lot of wonderful things for themselves, but it was not open to the public, and I think, with
it would be nice to be able to go there.
With the casino, they have an understanding of the public that probably very few people do. Touristy, of course, it's going to maybe touristy. They got to make money. Why?
And I'd imagine they throw weddings there, and a lot of things similar to what was going on when my mom worked there, and then when my grandma worked there, and then all the way back to the 1920s.
Yeah, I worked there as well.
Oh yes,
there
Scott
as
Olson
well,
worked
yes.
there too. And I always tell the story that like my mom was pregnant with me there, so I would be in her uterus holding up all the trays and everything. Right? I really was. She could hold more trays than anybody by balancing the big tray on her belly. So they would serve huge amounts of people, so you would have to collect a lot of things. And my mom, she's a hard worker, that's for sure. Okay, well, we went through a little bit of history, and I love our local Native American groups and to study them, and I really do encourage everyone to go out there and do some studying of your own. And I want to thank Mr. Al Kelly for getting this book for me to borrow and read. It's The People of San Manuel by Clifford E. Trasner, and I'm looking forward to read it. Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
Cliff is really interesting because he married an Arapaho professor too, and I was lucky enough to teach both of his daughters at Ukaipa High School.
Oh, man, who haven't you taught, Al Kelly? All right, well, we got into our history and everything. Now we got into a little politics. I was hoping Karma will be here because she's as big a dog lover and an animal lover as I am. I've grown up with animals. Like my family down on Waterman had a piece of property where we had horses and pigs and things like that. So I grew up in San Bernardino with kind of like a farm. I mean, it was a little rarity for some people. Some people had, farms over in Muscoy and things like that. But to have one in San Bernardino, I really dug it. So we get to go feed the horses and things like that. So I can remember also going to the dog shelter in San Bernardino to get kitties. My dad didn't like puppies, so we didn't get no dogs until after my dad passed away. But he would let us go get. I remember adopting at least 5 or 6 different cats from that shelter. But I promise you, it doesn't look that much different than that time when I was a little kid, and it still smells the same. And the concrete's the same. I mean, the green fence is different. Maybe a plaque or a picture, but it's pretty much the same. So what's the problem here with just maintaining what we already got here, Alice? What do you think the big problem is why we can't keep our own shelter?
So we don't know, because we've been asking, why do you want to outsource so quickly? Why are you so quick to get rid of the shelter? And these points that they brought up, like what you said about how the shelter looked years ago when you were a kid, this is what we've seen coming in, volunteering about 5 to 6 years ago. And then the volunteers before us also saw the same shelter in the same condition.
So like, what's different?
So we don't know, and we've been asking, and they verbally tell us, well, we have this, we have that. Well, we've always had that, and we have come in and offered contracted licensed contractors and donors to pay for the supplies of upgrading electrical, repairing the roofs, but we've been told no. Mm-hmm. So it's costing the city nothing. We wanted to, come in, be part of the solution and help. And we've been told no. And so we don't know. We don't know. And we are.
What's the first thing I said to you when this got brought up? Like 6 months. Was it is it a year or 6 months ago?
Almost a year ago.
A year. I told you, unless we get a property, and they're probably, it's already gone, right? We didn't get a property, so that told me it was gone, right? Now the thing is we're trying to get them to change their mind. Now, now it seems that Riverside County has been having a few public relations issues themselves. Now,
right.
now, so
Right.
those public relations issues, are they strong enough to where our drive to say the shelter could be viable? If not, like, are we still going to have to find another property?
Well, so yes, we've heard about Riverside. It's been announced. Anybody should be concerned about that they've had major changes with their upper directors. And if anybody is concerned, they would ask questions about that. Would we want to risk the city of San Bernardino going to a city where they've just made drastic changes? Now, we don't know how they're going to be once we contract with them. So we need to ask questions of what are their game plans now, because they've been slightly restructured because of the higher ups that have been
So we got to figure out their
that are gone.
They've been put on administrative leave, and their reasoning for it. If I was looking at hiring somebody, or I wanted somebody to do a job for me, and they had that kind of a situation going on in their organization, I would not be in a rush to close the deal. I would be pulling back, because quite honestly, when you start hearing words like bribery in the paper, when you start hearing things like sex between employees, come on now.
It's getting geeky out there.
At that point,
pups in the back room.
At that point in time, it should be a red flag. Okay, I can tell you, and I will back up, there is no real, legitimate, honest answer given by a single city employee in any way, shape, or form about why they want to get rid of the shelter, which is why
I have a question for Janine here. Yeah. Okay, so please speak in the mic. If it is a state, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here. So if it is a state-of-the-art facility, right? Mm-hmm. Shouldn't a pet owner be super happy that their pet has been saved, put in a state-of-the-art facility, and if you're a good pet owner, you should be willing to drive that half hour to get to your animal in lockup?
Well, first and foremost, let's just look at a majority of cities and their municipal shelters. They are not state-of-the-art. There are a lot of shelters that are exactly like SBC. As a matter of fact, we have the same aged shelter here in the city of Redlands. They have just as many issues, but the city does allow nonprofits to go in and make repairs to that shelter. One of the biggest things that we have a concern about is any of the residents in San Bernardino. Majority of the residents in San Bernardino are on some kind of public assistance, and they do not have vehicles, or if they do have vehicles, then they're not always available for them at good times to be able to drive down there. One of the city council members made a comment about him going down to Riverside County, to the main campus, and said it only took him 20 minutes to get there. Well, if you have...
Is that Mobile Hill? Or
yes, if you have the...
what do you do, fly there?
Well, just going down the 215.
I thought he rode a bike. Yeah. He probably took the SBX over there.
Just going down the 215 freeway is daunting enough, even with the expansion that we've had there. The biggest issue is he was able to go at his convenience. Most of the residents, when they do go down there to either relinquish an animal or to go down and redeem one of their lost pets, they're not going to have that
It's right after work when
Yes.
you go home and find out about it. You're
Now-
like, oh my gosh, my pup! Where's my pup?
We've had, if you look at the territory that San Bernardino City Shelter covers, you've got a high number of residents that it'll take them 45 minutes one way to get down there.
Yes.
And they cannot afford the gas.
And that's not including that there's a car accident
Exactly.
or you know the
Exactly.
CHP stuff. You know, there's all kinds of stuff that
Yeah.
goes on there, or even finals at UCR, like whatever, man. It sucks going in that area, and then if you're mad, you're tired, and then it's hot, and then there's there air conditioning in these trucks for the pets. How does that work for the animals? Like
The animal control trucks, yes, they are.
they have air conditioning
Yeah,
in
and the
all the way to
city
the back.
did purchase new ones.
So where will those new ones go? Do they go to Riverside too?
Well, we still don't know exactly because they have not been open about exactly how this is going to look. And
Did Mulvihill drive that to
I
the,
no, I
to the
don't
shelter?
think that he drove that. I
oh,
think he
okay.
probably drove his
Oh,
own.
did he ride in the
vehicle.
back?
That would have been nice to see.
To see what it's like.
To try it out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Make some phone calls.
Yeah, like all the
Yeah.
city council members could actually live a life of a dog one day, right?
Yeah.
They could go stay on this concrete, the warm concrete, right? It's
Exactly.
heated by hot water
Yeah.
springs, right? You could go sleep on the warm concrete for a day. If they could go through it, then they can, run for office next time. If they don't, they're not allowed to run.
Another issue that we have is logistically that length of drive. A lot of animals are found injured on the streets, or they're underagers. Like right now, we are in kitten season, and we can get anywhere from 20 to 30 bottle baby cats in one day. And there's very little time to be able to just drop what you're doing and drive down there. Of course, every time we put up a rebuttal to what the city, why they want to outsource, they come back with another plan or a rebuttal to us to say, well, now we're going to have an intake center in the city of San Bernardino and an adoption center. Well, what does that mean? And how does that look?
Well, okay, so
Right.
but that is better than nothing so far,
It is,
right? And
it is.
that's the
I don't think
profile.
it is.
Well,
It,
no,
it
to me,
sounds good.
Yeah, yeah.
It
It's-
does
so-
sound
Exactly.
good. The problem is if they are only holding what they consider adoptable animals in the city of San Bernardino, that means the ones that are going to be on stray hold will have to go to Riverside.
And
The
then they go to the death
the-
chamber.
The problem is that now your Riverside County residents, they're jurisdictional animals. If they are already at the end of their 5-day hold, any San Bernardino dogs or cats that go in there now will take up the space. So the residents of Riverside should be just as angry as San Bernardino.
So I have this is I hate this question, but so like I remember at the city council meeting was the attorney, what's the attorney's name,
The former city attorney who's
no,
kind of sitting around collecting a check.
no, the marijuana attorney that does all this
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I know who you're talking about, yeah, the
He
one who
came
had-
in and said he got his pup out of a vat of oil, like that after it had been put to sleep, so he could go,
Yeah.
go bury Alan Bartleman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Alan, okay.
So then I was like, well, like I started reading more research, like people talking about that. They said that they sell those animals to like oil or feed or some kind of company. Is that true?
It used to be a rendering
Rendering.
plant, but they got rid of it. It was on Central Avenue.
So
in
so
San
what do they do
Bernardino.
with the animals now?
They're disposed of,
Like yeah, like how does that work? Is there any way?
incinerating.
Okay.
Yeah, mhm.
They don't make a profit off that. Who pays for that?
Well, that's a cost. It costs the city. It costs the city to euthanize as well. So
like how much
yeah.
is it total to dispatch an animal versus trying to get them adopted out?
Well, that's one of our big questions. Is the animal sheltering services is so deeply entwined in the PD's budget that it's very hard to tell
Yeah,
what
like
those costs are.
like they have a lot of stuff to do in San Bernardino. They don't really need to worry about this. We need to get that out of there. Now, do you see progress in that? possibility of it being fully removed from the PD, or?
Well, no, we haven't seen that. And now with the, putting on leave your city manager and the extra workload, we don't know if that's going to happen. And maybe that is one of their reasons that they did that. So they could put the nail in the coffin of the shelter. We don't know. It just looks...
The more you study the city manager being on leave, I've got at least 4 running things that if any one of them is true, she should have been put on leave. Okay, there's a lot of issues in the city. It's
Do you
not
think
just the
do you think
shelter.
it's permanent, or do you think she'll be back?
If she comes back, it's pure corruption, unless they can prove otherwise.
See, like we all have a city meeting coming up on Wednesday. I please attend, everyone. We need to pack that thing with people. We need to have them there till 4 in the morning, listening to have them worried about.
We need the
they'll shut it down,
residents to
but-
come out and attend the meeting on this Wednesday, and tell your officials what you want. You're a resident, you're a voter, you're paying your taxes, this is your home.
Keep speaking until they say no more speakers.
Hey,
Make 'em say
Rob,
it.
be aware that there is a potential bait and switch with Devereaux coming back in there again.
Really interesting. Oh man, so Devereaux's back in the mixing it up, huh? He's the one that sold away our fire department.
Everything.
Devereaux is bad news in my world.
So speaking of, he was a former county.
He was the county manager.
Manager,
He was
yeah.
the equivalent of the city manager for
So,
the county.
but he's not currently. And right now, tomorrow we have a county meeting at 10 o'clock over there at the county building on Arrowhead and 4th. Or Arrowhead and 6th, one of those streets right there.
Street,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so go on down there and you can be in the meeting and speak your 3 minutes just like our normal city meetings. I'm gonna be speaking on Arrowhead Peak. I want to make sure that our county knows, all around our whole county knows about Arrowhead Peak, and then slowly build it up through historical societies. We'll get these stories out, but there's no reason why we can't talk animal advocacy there. I've spoken on why can't someone here in the county step up and help us with our animal shelter situation. I mean, could it possibly turn Devore into a 2-story shelter, right? And we need more room. Let's build
The
up,
county does
right?
not want anything to do with it, and their facility in Devore is small and
No,
not-
that's the
Small
thing.
and remote.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
no,
they're
that's the thing. We could.
Yeah,
It has potential. Like
Yeah.
it's small and remote. Let's build a state-of-the-art facility, co-branched county and the city working together to make sure, and then also have a triage spot in the middle of the city for injured
idea.
animals.
Good
Then
idea.
also have all these secondary groups. If we all work together, because it's going to be impossible to do just one thing and save all the animals. It's hard to do that, right? You have to have everyone working together.
Well, the amazing thing is that we have, I don't know how many hundreds of rescues that come in and rescue animals from this shelter that have brought the youth rate down on this shelter. And it had nothing to do with
You mean
repairs or
did
no
you say
repairs.
the youth rate or
The
death rate?
euthanasia.
Oh,
We
you-
call it
okay.
the euthanasia
Oh.
rate.
Yeah. It scared
That's
me
how
there.
this.
I'm like, oh.
That's how cities speak. It's the live release rate and youth
You mean the
rates.
murder rate?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
right. So we've been big advocates of helping to bring that youth rate down to almost a no-kill. And no-kill, believe it or not, is not a 0%, but
you know
a
what?
10% and
Mulva Hill,
under.
I
Yeah.
dare you. I dare you to go down there. You press the button.
Yep.
You press the button. You kill one of those animals. Let's see if you're in the military, everything. Let's see how tough you are. You go down there and you press the button, because you know what? When you're pressing that button for that vote, you are pressing that button. Except you're pressing it thousands and thousands and thousands of times. Think about that. You're responsible. Everyone on that council's responsible, unless you didn't vote for it. And even then, I know your fighting team, Mr. Nickel and Sandra. Please keep going.
Yeah,
I do not trust
absolutely.
that Charette and Mulva Hill come out of nowhere and say, "Oh, I've changed my mind." Know what that sounds like to me? It's something I've seen before. Is where they set the other team up and then make them look really bad, and then try to seem like some kind of savior at the end or something like that, and then at the very end still do nothing. Talk the whole time and still do nothing. And yes, I'm calling you out.
We don't need any more talking. We don't need any more back and forth. We've already taken up almost a year of talking and talking and talking. We're ready to get to work, and we're ready. We have been working.
That takes just them doing an ordinance and saying, please work it out, make it. Just give them a chance to try.
Yes, and they supposedly said they gave us a year. They did not give us a year.
Not even close.
In February, Council Member Sandra Ibarra requested an RFP. Well, then that allowed us to be able to possibly bring forward a proposal. Well, then a month later, they voted to outsource. So technically, we weren't given any opportunity.
Actually, we were given less than a month because we never got to see what the RFP was to put together the proposal. We were going back to 2014 just to as a stepping stone until that RFP was put out, but it never was.
Are you too? Would you feel comfortable telling us what the truth is? Like, do you know what the truth is? Often in politics, we know what the truth is and we talk around it. I'm not very good at it, but you guys are pretty political, and then you also have jobs and stuff that you want to keep yourself in order. But truly, I think it's about money disappearing, right? It's $600,000 missing, right? Where's the money? Just show us the numbers and we'll be fine.
Robert,
right?
I remember several people in here speaking that Valdivia had already made this decision before he was elected mayor. I don't know why.
I know for a
Maybe
fact Mulva Hill and Charette already made the decision before.
But they must have done it to simplify what was going on in San Bernardino.
Well, there's often horse trades and all this stuff that have nothing to do with the animal shelter. It may have to do with off-ramp somewhere or a property being built on. But and also the possibility of someone who wants to build something and they can't do it unless something else is out of the way.
Right. But the thing is this isn't just about the animal shelter. This is about the city of San Bernardino, and this is about stopping any more outsourcing, and this is about providing quality of life service for the residents of San Bernardino, and their pets, and safety reasons, health reasons. What is going to happen when a resident cannot get help for an animal?
Or 4th of July.
Exactly.
I mean, we need as many animal advocates out there as possible during that time. It gets nuts. Those shelters just fill. And then isn't there a kitten explosion right now?
Absolutely.
It's technically all year long now.
All year long.
Yeah, right.
Robert.
California.
Yeah.
I want to say this. There has been, it's already been said, there is no legitimate reason given why. Now, I want to give a challenge out here to every single person in the city who goes outsource to Riverside. If you can't handle the shelter because you don't have the money, I'm going to tell you something. These ladies here and their friends are giving you an alternative that is far less expensive, far better for everybody in the city. I challenge every single city council person, except Sandra, who's been wonderful, even Henry. I don't trust Henry, though. And Mayor Valdivia.
Poor Henry walks the line.
Mayor Valdivia, I challenge you to show in writing how you are saving the city of money. When you're short of money and going back, you got serious financial issues, how possibly you're paying Riverside to take over your problems is going to cost less than letting the volunteers do it for next to nothing. We have a financial problem in this city. Huge. These ladies are giving us an olive branch, and we're spitting on it in the city. People say, well, why, Scott? You supported Valdivia. Yeah, I do support Valdivia. I supported a lot of the people there. But the bottom line is, in this city, we need help. We're getting it offered. They're begging us. They're doing it. Upland.
At least let them try.
Upland has a demonstrated model of success
that is far better with its reputation than Riverside.
If you guys would have tried for this last year instead of them doing all this other stuff, then they could have even seen if it would have worked. But
There is
gave it a chance.
There is, like I said, I challenge them to show me where they could prove it's financially better off for the city. Because short term, okay, you get a problem out of the way, you sweep it on the rug. We've done that in San Bernardino to the point where we swept ourselves. Clean sweep? No, we just swept everything under the rug.
So here's to the next thing. Like I'm moving on from the shelter a little bit. It has everything to do with it. I've been saying for the last 6 years, 7 years that the whole goal is to bankrupt San Bernardino enough to sell away our water as an asset. So so what you do is you disincorporate the city. It becomes part of the county, and the water rights come up for grabs, and it goes to court, and then all of a sudden we end up like Rialto or one of these other spots paying 10% more for our water.
But Robert, the whole thing is, it doesn't matter the entity that owns it. All water rights have been adjudicated 100 years ago. Maybe there's some small little transfers and stuff like that, but that's never going to happen.
So, but if
Actually,
if San
for
Bernardino
LAFCO,
was
it could happen.
unincorporated, what entity would be in control of the water? Somebody has to get those deeds.
Whoever LAFCO
They wouldn't just
negotiates it
disappear.
through. Whoever LAFCO negotiates it through. Now, my hope is a large portion of it gets grabbed by West Valley, because trust me, we will treat them far better than they're treated now.
But see, this is the thing. Like the one thing San Bernardino,
yes, it is. I'm biased.
The goose that laid the golden egg is our water, and in the future, it will be an asset worth more than gold. And we got to think now and not let these big heads, that elites that think they know what's best for us, make money. End up passing away due to a normal lifespan, and our kids and our grandkids end up getting screwed on this.
I agree.
We got to step up for their future now, their inheritance, their water inheritance. That's their inheritance, their water inheritance, not the politicians. And it's that big a deal. Our water is our livelihood. It's everything. We can't have this city without our water. And we already give our water away to Riverside. We give it away.
Well, we sell it. We sell it.
No.
Every city sells downstream.
No. Riverside has allocation rights to our water at Bunker Hill. And in fact, they dug their own pipe to it so they can extract what they wish anytime. And it just got finished. So they extract their own water now. So that's how it works. We are giving away, and this all happened because we used to have too much water, but now we don't, right? So all this stuff needs to be fixed. But I hope it doesn't get fixed because they dissolve San Bernardino, create a bunch of little small cities. Maybe we'll get a bunch of little shelters, but wouldn't that be weird to have like all these little fiefdoms? I mean, I'd have to go to like 5 different city council members, or there be like a North and South San Bernardino, but they wouldn't call it North San Bernardino. They'd change the name, right? And then the elites would have their own area.
They won't. If it gets dissolved, it won't be a city. We'll be just one big, huge county pocket.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, no. Like in the future, what I'm talking about, like where they would be heading, like a dividing line would be the 30 freeway, right? So there'd be an area north and an area south.
The people in North San Bernardino might
then Mount
want
Vernon,
that.
the freeway on each side.
The problem is, North San Bernardino does not generate any revenue. It takes revenue. The revenue is generated primarily in the 3rd ward, and then the second generator of revenue is the 6th ward. So if you try to split it at Highland or the 30th, you got a nice, wonderful bedroom community, but all you have is property taxes, and guess what? They're already gone. So you can't split the city.
What if those residents were willing to pay a higher property tax?
What, the 15% that aren't on welfare?
Oh, it wouldn't be property tax anyways, because that all goes to LAFCO, right?
It all goes to the county.
Yeah, so like it would have
variations, and there's certain.
So it have to be
certain
state.
funds come back, but the lion's share of the property taxes goes to pay for the fire services for San Bernardino as a whole. Okay, that was negotiated by us when we did the whole annexation. We didn't outsource there, we annexed. We gave away all current and future control of our fire department. It's gone. We are at the mercy of the county, period.
So now the county is they're trying to incorporate Crestline up here, right? So this is kind of interesting to me. They just finished the dam project and everything, so they already spent all our money on the really expensive stuff, right? Now they'll make a Crestline, but like the residents I've talked to, they don't want that. They really don't want it. So what is this all about? Why is it so important to make Crestline a city up there? And I'm wondering if it has to do with the water. I really
Marijuana.
Oh, really? You think that's it? They want the cannabis up there, and
They already have it.
And oh man, they got
Those
some
on
of the
pine trees.
best weed in town from our mountains in Ukaipa, man. Ukaipa's got the best weed, and then of course our mountains some good weed comes out. And you want to know how they grow weed in the mountains, right? So this is how they used to hide it out. They'd have those cabins up on the sides of the hills, right, built on the side, and then they would go in the back and dig into the hill. And then have their grow room inside in like a tunnel into the hill where the house was backed up to, and then it enters to the bottom. And I've been through a couple of those where they had their grow houses in the dirt in the hill. Isn't that not cool? Old school ways to hide weed and grow it, man. You probably bought some of that weed out, Kelly.
I probably grew some of it.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, we might have a safety meeting after the show. Oh, yeah. Someday we'll get Scott Olson to smoke some weed.
Right.
But it definitely hasn't happened yet. He used to be a drug and alcohol counselor, so he's a little bit. But it is legal now.
Robert, when we talk, it'll be a session. I won't even charge.
So, okay, so we went through the bankruptcy possibility in the future coming up here. I'm hoping that's not something that Valdivia will want to happen. I think that's why he's being proactive here with the city manager. If she missed that stuff on purpose, if I'm so negative on the city, I'm sorry, team. I'm so negative against them that I always think something's a scam, right? My great grandfather left Norton Security for the Air Force Base because of corruption back then when their police force. You know it hasn't gone away. My grandfather had problems getting permits without pleasing the right people and things like that. You know that's corrupt. The fact that there's favoritism. You know, like we're working within the system, so we need to find politicians that can break the cycle. So that's why we're relying on you, Mr. Valdivia. Break this cycle for us. I know you can figure it out here. You're a businessman. He's good at selling things, right? You sold your way to the mayor's office. No, he did.
I know.
He worked his ass off. Oh, you got that? I said the donkey word.
Yes,
donkey.
John worked very hard to become mayor.
From a very early
campaigned
time.
on change. Okay? Yes. For us, if Juan comes in, the change continues. If Treasure gets in, we go back to the past. It's Morris all over again.
So here's my wait. We got to give them both. So Juan to me is more kind of laid back, listens well, analytical, speaks when he has a good idea. Treasure has a lot of ideas, and she's never ever afraid to speak those ideas out. She will listen. She will listen, but she's very contentious, right? So me personally, having someone contentious or someone who's a little bit more calmer up there on the dais. We've seen what's been happening up there. If we add another dynamic of contentiousness up there, I promise you that's what we will get.
Well, and she's a tool of the California Democratic Party. And as somebody who's been a Democrat his whole life, I hate the California Democratic Party.
I don't look at it.
They walked that line.
She's smart.
They walked that line.
She knows.
Go fig.
She knows that she wants to be a councilwoman. She really does. She's playing all the political moves. But this is the thing. I've seen this before. Someone shows up out of nowhere right when the election happens, and all of a sudden, please, I've done all this. But I didn't see it. I'm sorry. I mean, I wish I did. Maybe you did it somewhere else, and you should have got recognition over there. I can't give you what you have not done for us. Now, you may have done it hidden in the city hall. I don't know. But I don't think someone who knows how City Hall and how it's working right now is what's best for our city, please. Well, it is dysfunctional in there.
Robert,
I mean, people get mad getting permits and everything else.
She was an intern.
So it doesn't matter what it is. To me, it sounded
In
like
San Bernardino, she
was
was an intern.
defending that culture. And that's the last thing you should be doing right now.
And in Redlands, she was a city employee, from what I can tell. But when you get a government job like that and it disappears after a couple years, questions have to be asked and answered, and quite simply, they haven't been. Juan has a very stable track record. His service on the different committees, I mean, right down to the ho-ho parade and taking the worst costume on because nobody else would. That's Juan. That's who we need in this city. Juan is a peacemaker.
Who's begging these politicians to endorse her?
Well, right now in the state of California, ballot harvesting has become legal. It used to be a felony, but now it's legal. Ballot harvesting is probably the number one reason why the elected officials are giving her campaigns, because they want to collect the data, because it helps them in their future campaigns.
Now I'm asking, because I had this same conversation with Gloria Harrison. I talked to people about this. They are defending her hardcore, but I don't think they really know her. And I'm wondering if this is just because of
There's
Democratic
two things.
Party.
There's two things going on here. A, there's a Democratic Party doing what the Democratic Party does, and
if
it's
the
legal.
Republican Party does that stuff too. You don't try
No,
to hide it.
actually, battle harvesting they don't.
No, not the
Yeah.
maybe not
They
the hard-
campaign,
But what
okay?
but they want to get
There's two
all
factors going on
Republicans
here.
on councils too, right? So that's what there's a Democratic and Republican angle at just trying to get the seats for their party, right?
Well, there's two factors here. Because politicians supporting, okay, fine, it's party stuff, whatever. Look at who else is giving to her. They're all the Morris crew. They're all 92404 North San Bernardino zip codes.
So you think
Look how many zip codes.
Morris is the one who's begging? Because this is interesting.
He's writing the check.
So this is an interesting fun fact, right? I study. Mr. Morris, Mayor Morris, he always comes into Starbucks in the morning, right? So we have the dynamic because we're kind of rivals, but we're also
That's a nice word.
both kind of like San Bernardino. And he walks by, and this last time I saw him, he didn't say hello to me.
Oh.
So, but he always usually does.
Because you're exposing him on here.
No. I'm just wondering, if there's that much contentiousness right now that he's kind of trying to stay away from me.
The contentiousness is huge. Now, I have to correct myself.
I could be wrong,
Morris
though.
doesn't usually give all the money. He has his wife do it. He has his son do it. He has his neighbor and his friend do it. So, but in reality, when you see 92404 on the zip code and it's Charette, it's Mulvihill, it's Sands, they're all the same
But a lot of
group.
people I respect a great deal that I know probably don't really know her except by one possible meeting have given her money. So they see something in her. And,
They're using her.
Yeah, Scott's right on.
And I told her this personally. I hope she listens to me. That people sometimes come in here and they will use you. And if you don't win, they'll cast you aside. And if you do win and you don't do what they say, they will put you in jail. I'm not joking. San Bernardino politicians have gone to jail for this kind of stuff, for not agreeing.
What do you mean?
Look,
He's right.
Yes.
We can go into the details.
Yes, it gets gangster in there, man. They will find they'll have
set you up.
Yep. Yep. And then all of a sudden you're like, what? I should have filled out this form or. What was that?
Oh, speaking of gangsters, a point that I made.
I was wondering what you're doing. Al Kelly wants to talk about
I just want to
hit it up.
Because, Yucaipa, probably the most racist city in the inbred empire. That's why we call it the inbred empire. They're having their fair this weekend. Boycott it. Boycott Best Realty. Boycott every business in there till they get rid of the mayor and the other four bobbleheads that have stood there while the mayor's posted against his hatred of Muslims, blacks, gays, Democrats, anybody. And it hasn't stopped. It's gotten a lot worse. Now there's a lot of guns and God and guns. People putting things on Facebook, going after everybody else. And the tragic thing is Toby Bush, who runs the Aryan paper, all the local rags, the Highland paper, Rancho Cucamonga, and UKIP, we call it the UKIP News Liar. They just fired 2 reporters. One was Asian and one had a Middle Eastern name.
So, oh man, disclaimer, Al Kelly spews it, and you just got to listen.
I have nothing to do with UKIP, so I have no clue.
I didn't fact check any of that, but I love Mr. Kelly, and we like to give him a voice on here. And he's a smart man and has taught most of the Inland Empire as a teacher. 30 years, yeah, like a lot of politicians have had him as a professor, as a teacher. Yeah. So he does have valid points, and he's eccentric with how he explains it. But what he's trying to say is, don't post political stuff from your dang account when you're mayor, dude. Come on. It's really simple. I mean, and a prime example is don't even have one. Have your assistant run it, and don't even do it. And then when you're done, then you can do it again. And that's probably smart for all politicians because that stuff is ours. When you're a politician, you kind of belong to us. They don't want to think that, but they do. They're beholden to it. Yes, yes.
It is their job to represent the people, and we're not seeing that. Right. So the people have to remind them.
And are you going to remind them about the shelter issue on Wednesday?
Yes, Wednesday at 7 p.m. this Wednesday. Please show up. If you're not comfortable speaking, sit with us. If you are comfortable speaking, just speak from your heart and let them know.
How would they get in contact with you if they had a suggestion or ideas or money?
They can message me on Facebook.
Okay, yeah. Message Alice Chow. Yeah. All right, team. Well, this has been the I Love San Bernardino County Radio Show. I guess Karma was at a baseball game. We miss you so much, Karma Roshi was a little bit under the weather. Thank you, Al Kelly. Thank you, Scott Olson, so much. Janine Ellis and Donatello in the house. He's sticking his tongue out. Robert. Dude, we love you. We out of here.
From my soul into your hands, music makes you wanna dance. I'm a blues loving man. Sinner, I'm a saint, I'm the priest.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
California headline news. Federal authorities have arrested a 26-year-old Reseda man on domestic terrorism charges. FBI agent Ryan Young says Mark Stephen Domingo was plotting several attacks.
We believe he was conducting an attack to weaken the United States and retaliate against Americans for what he perceived to be violence incurred by U.S. actions around the world.
Domingo had plans to attack Jews, cops, and visitors to the Santa Monica Pier. Lori Gilbert Kay was killed in Saturday's synagogue attack in Poway was remembered today during a funeral service.
A life devoted to embracing the last generation and building a better world for the next. What a stark contrast to the hate-filled murderer who took her life.
And finally, investigators are searching a Victorville landfill in an attempt to find 6-year-old Duke Flores, who was reported missing from Apple Valley last week. His mother and aunt have now both been charged with murder. Steve Clausen, California News.
If you own a pair of Skechers, this ad is not for you because you already know they're the most comfortable shoes on the planet. This ad is for those who have never tried Skechers, for the few who have never experienced the otherworldly comfort of Skechers air-cooled memory foam, ever floated across the ground on comfort pods, or experienced Skechers seamless knits. You're missing out. That's like never petting a puppy. So we've made this ad for you. Skechers. Live comfortably. Available at a Skechers store near you or wherever stylish shoes are sold.
Hiring? Aren't you tired of hoping the right candidates see your job posts? It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology finds and invites qualified candidates to apply. So instead of hoping you find that needle, ZipRecruiter finds it for you, and hiring is a whole lot easier.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter now for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/search. That's ZipRecruiter.com/search.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. Former Vice President Joe Biden is holding his first rally since announcing his Democratic presidential bid.
By the way, I make no apologies. I am a union man. Period.
Speaking at a labor union hall in Pittsburgh today, Biden also said, "We are in a battle for America's soul." The Justice Department is identifying the military veteran accused in a terror plot in Southern California. Officials say Mark Stephen Domingo converted to Islam and had several specific targets, including targeting Jewish people, churches, and law enforcement. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein has submitted his resignation. As the second in command of the Justice Department, Rosenstein oversaw Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian meddling in the 2016 election. Rosenstein's last day is expected to be May 11th. At least 704 cases of measles are reported in the U.S. The CDC says that figure breaks a 25-year record for the highly contagious illness. Measles was considered to be eliminated in the U.S. in 2000. 1/3 of the current cases involve children under the age of 5. Larry King's production studio says the TV talk show legend did not suffer a heart attack.
TMZ reported Monday that King suffered a heart attack in Los Angeles last Thursday while getting ready to go to the hospital for an angiogram. King's studio, Aura TV, said in a statement that report is incorrect. It said King experienced angina, which is a reduction in the flow of blood to the heart, last Thursday right before he was scheduled to go for an angioplasty. Doctors in Los Angeles successfully inserted stents to reopen a previous bypass from 1987. The statement says King is in good spirits. He's still in the hospital but expects to be released soon. Tom Roberts, NBC News Radio.
Director John Singleton is dead at the age of 51. He had been taken off life support after a massive stroke more than a week ago. Singleton shot to stardom in 1991 for the film Boys in the Hood. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Stardate April 29th. If you drew a bubble around the sun 10 light years wide, it would contain only 3 other stars, the triple system known as Alpha Centauri. If you drew the same sized bubble around a star near the center of Messier 3, though, it would contain many thousands of stars. The night sky of an Earth-like planet there would be ablaze with stars, enough to keep the night from getting truly dark. And some stars would be visible even in the daytime. Messier 3